here. Okay, so the new, at least theme for the expansion coming up is very, very clear, with Gadget Zan being all these graphics literally coming out every other day. Um, I think there's been some mixed reviews on Gadget Zan. I think most people are actually enjoying it or whatnot.
I
But
think that I think the biggest one is Goblin versus Gnome.
yeah,
And, I mean,
exactly,
Gadgetzan is a
exactly.
Goblin city. So what they're afraid of is another Goblin-based theme, but doesn't feel like that yet. From what we've seen, it looks like they're taking this in a different direction. Because the Gadgetzan in World of Warcraft isn't that interesting. It's a pretty barren city, but like in Hearthstone, they're making it seem like there's so much like shops going on.
Yeah, it's like
There's
a
a bank
marketplace and stuff.
heist.
Hmm.
There's a lot of cool things going on. So I don't think people should be too worried about it being goblin focused.
All right, Merps.
I have no idea. I just want cool cards.
He don't care about themes. Whatever,
I'm
man.
like
Just give me some
lore.
cool.
Like I never played WoW, so every time they introduced, a new character or a new this or a new that, I'm like, who? What? I'm like, okay. Like, are you?
Yeah.
It's like you're dead. You're not dead. You're this person's father. I'm like Star Wars. Okay, fine. Like it's all gibberish to me. So I have no idea.
They did something cool with Talan's bar, which is
Yeah.
a Hearthstone messenger. It's essentially a bot that you talk to, and it'll reply like funny phrases and give you like teaser pictures. So yeah, it looks like, I mean, at this point, I think it's really safe to say it's something about gadgets.
Yeah,
Um,
I would think so too.
but how exactly they want to go with it, it's still not 100% clear. Some people say it's like a bank heist. Some people say it's like a travel agency because of these gazettes they're putting out. It's like, hey, come travel to Gadgetzan. So it's very excited to see. I get a lot of requests to make a video about this, but I mean, Blizzard's not being shy with their information. It's like they're just throwing it at you, like Gadgetzan.
So here's the thing: how does Gadgetzan and priests go together? Because this is supposed to be a powerful priest, and this is what I'm expecting at least, some kind of powerful
Shielded
priest.
mini priest.
Shielded mini priest.
Yep.
Okay,
You heard it here
okay,
first, guys.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
all I want is a unicorn reference. Like one unicorn reference will make me so happy.
Oh, that would be pretty funny. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
so Gadgetzan, I mean, at least we kind of know the theme now. And, of course, the big announcement at BlizzCon is we're going to see a lot of the cards, if not all the cards. Hopefully, we won't see them before the announcement. I think last year they were leaked a little bit early on Reddit.
Was there?
Yeah, I think so. I remember talking to some of the Reddit folks, and it was just like, oh my God, it was so crazy because it was like all these cards are leaked and stuff. So,
I think what was leaked, there was like a list of voice actor leaked, and it had all the names like Reno Jackson, Rafam, like out there, but we didn't know what it was. But it was like, wow, what's with these? Because the new skins were leaked like that. Like Tyrande was leaked last year, as well as Liadrin. So there's one guy on there that's not released yet, which is the new Rogue skin. But yeah,
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if things leak again. It always seems like there's a leak. Whispers of the Old Gods got leaked because people painted the freaking logo on the side of a building a day ahead. But
Right, I
it's
remember
BlizzCon.
that. Yeah.
That was no. No, but I guess why don't we just talk about what do you guys expect, or what are you guys hoping to see at BlizzCon from the standpoint of the announcement? Because BlizzCon's that one stage where every one of the games wants to have something ready, and they don't want to be one upped by the other game franchises, and so they usually want to create a very big kind of package of announcements.
Hmm. I don't know. Like last year, like last year when BlizzCon came around, it was in a very like negative mood in the community. I think,
It's kind of
but
similar.
all they announced was League of Explorers, but they did announce that it was available within a week.
Yeah.
So that was a huge deal for everyone. Like
But that's
I
an
thought it was
adventure
gonna be
mode. That's an adventure mode
that's adventure
versus
mode.
a full out expansion.
So for this, all I'm expecting is just the theme announcement, a few cards, tradition like as per tradition. What I am interested in two things is when is it gonna actually be released? are they gonna do the same thing as last year? It's like it's coming in, 5 days, or is it gonna be like normal? As well as they might be announcing the new hero there, but
Wait,
I think that's the
what?
only two things we can expect.
New hero?
New rogue hero,
Oh,
the one that's
you mean
not
like a
released yet.
skin? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No,
New
not
hero? What?
Not that.
Okay.
But I think at most it's a new skin, but I don't think they have anything up their sleeves.
I hope there's.
Yeah.
I hope there's at least a bundle of what was kind of in updates in the past of just some newer things. Like the quest, right? I hope they do some other things with achievements or just some of the smaller things, and they have a little bit of those on top of the expansion. I mean, I'd be happy with just the expansion, but it'd be nice, just to have a little bit more on top of that. Even just one. Do you think it's just gonna be one skin? That's it?
I mean, I think one's. Yeah, I think it's just gonna be one skin.
Yeah,
there's a skin.
They've been really, really slow with those skins, or they saved them for
Yeah.
cross promotional stuff, which I feel like they should just be coming out with them more. Why not, right?
I mean, they released it for $5 and everyone was upset, and then they did the Amazon Prime thing and everyone was even more upset.
Wait, they released it for $5. What do you mean? They released it for $10. It was $10
right?
originally,
$10.
which I even thought it was a little high for $10. But
yeah, I guess they're just using this for very, very special occasions now, like to gain more than just money, because Liadrin was used to gain WoW subscribers, and Morgul was used to gain, new Hearthstone players, and Tyrande was, for Twitch.
If I'm hoping, I hope they come out with, instead of gold cards, they come up with like platinum versions of the cards or something like that.
Gosh.
That only come in packs. So yes, I know.
My gosh.
I
Can
know.
you
I
imagine
am
a
like
riot?
I am no.
No.
I know. I am like saying these crazy things. Like I'm almost like trying to make Blizzard money, but I feel like the rarity in general. Now we're not talking about the rarity like rare, epic. Rarity in general, I think, is missing from the game right now, and that's something that Overwatch has I think made a lot of money off of, especially with these Halloween these events and stuff. Merps, like it's like these limited time type of things. I feel like card backs, we're not talking about card backs anymore, all right? Because nobody cares about card backs. I mean, at least a lot of people don't care about card backs. So what people do care about is what their cards do look like when played, or just the animations that are on there. Let's create like another level of that you can't buy, and then all of a sudden we would we'd be enticed to buy more packs. We'd be enticed to do a lot of things, and that would generate them more money, and it would generate, I think, just general value in our collection.
I mean, you do make a good point. Other card games have this, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They have like in MTG, it's what, mythic rares, I think, like
holographic
something like
mythic
that.
rares. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, holographic mythic rares, basically. I don't know what they have in Yu-Gi-Oh! I have no idea. Like in, I guess, Pokemon, they have like EX or full print cards or something. Like every card game has these like super premium, ultra rare cards. I guess it would sort of make sense for Hearthstone to do it. The community would not take it well, though. Like if they introduced it from the very beginning, it would be a different thing, right?
So,
it's always something different when you introduce it after a game's been out, and then people will just say that it's a cash grab. Which,
well, it is
honest,
a cash. Even if it's a cash grab, who cares? Like honestly, who cares? I mean, for once, I'm just saying, like Blizzard, of course, has to make money. Then we want them to make money to support the game. All right, I think everybody, no matter if you're smart ass on Reddit or whatnot, you agree like with that, because we want them to continue supporting it. And secondly, like even the result of it is just that you do have these certain elements, and I mean it's like they'll keep complaining about it until they're the one that gets like the super rare one that's like amazing, some crazy, I don't know, Ragnaros that's freaking platinum and does like some amazing things, right? I don't know. I think community maybe in the beginning will have the backlash, but I think in the long run they'll accept it. I'd be surprised if they didn't accept it.
They would.
Yeah. So right now they can't get all the gold ones. Most of the community can't get all the gold ones anyways right now, right? So in some ways they might actually, from a relative standpoint, enjoy this because they can be in the same boat as possibly some of the other folks that can buy more packs. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
I would like to see something like that. That would be pretty cool. All right, so why don't we move on to the whole choose your champion thing. So you mentioned that, right, a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And so who did you guys choose?
I picked Nice.
Yeah, I did too.
I picked Amnesiac. Still in it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
everybody's
Everyone's still in it.
yeah, everyone's still in it.
You just get a head start on your pack.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
So yeah, some people brought up a good point where I hope that no one takes the loss too seriously in terms of
Yeah, I know what you mean.
fans wanting that pack. Because I made a light joke, but then people pointed out that there are some people out there who are really, it's like, oh my God, Thais, how could you?
Yeah.
Because there's millions of Hearthstone players, and most of them aren't investing a lot of money into it. So I just hope the streamers don't get, like, the players don't get affected, which is interesting. Like, when Blizzard introduced this, everyone thought, hey, free pack, we're all happy. But I guess I didn't really think about the negativity.
It's more pressure.
That might,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like when you see in actual sports, like when you players get death threats afterwards, right? Because right, like if they miss the game-winning layup, or if they fumble a pass that leads to a loss in the fourth quarter, like, a lot of people have, they don't just have emotions invested into it, they have money. And even though you pay nothing for this, people see it as like, oh, like, you lost me money / you lost me that value, you lost me cards, and like, I hate you now. Like, you deserve to punish like I've been punished. I mean, it makes no sense, but like, people do think of it that way, which is unfortunate.
I think it's a super small percentage generally, and particularly in Hearthstone. I think it's even smaller. So, I think Tice did tweet something on Twitter, because a lot of people, I think, were picking Tice last week. Maybe it was joking, maybe it wasn't, but it did say something like, I hope I don't let you guys down. That sort of thing. And so maybe it has a little bit tiny effect, especially when they lose. I don't think they're thinking about it while they're playing, but definitely when they might be taking the losses a little bit harder, which, it's already hard enough to be knocked out of BlizzCon, then on top of that,
Right.
So as a community, we shouldn't take these things too seriously, from the standpoint of making packs for us and all that stuff. Like, it's just a fun thing, and we should just take it as fun, and that's it. Okay, I think that's it for the news. Our week in Hearthstone. So what you guys been up to? Like, any cool findings, any fun stuff you guys run into this week?
No, I've been streaming a lot more lately.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing is the Brian Kibler best of 3 game.
Yeah, that was cool. I saw that video. Yeah. No,
I've just been playing Arena, man.
Yeah, of course. For those of you who didn't see the Brian Killer thing, like why don't you talk through it a little bit, Toast?
So yeah, we just ran into each other on ladder, and I whooped his ass.
Oh wow!
Easy.
He was playing Priest, which was
his
first mistake.
Yeah,
his first mistake. His second mistake was queuing into me. And so I was playing like a very greedy druid, and he was playing Dragon Priest, and we were just talking trash back and forth. And we're both streaming, and the chat went back and forth between us. And I beat him, and then we re-queue again, and then we ran into each other another time. And then he got some lucky draws the second game, and I DC at the end, so I guess he beat me. And so we decided to have a third off-screen off-ladder match, and it was a lot of fun. His editor Natalie did a great job making the video amazing and funny, and it was just good times. Like, because it's fun not having to see two guys play mid-range shaman against one another, right? It was just big minions against big minions throwing to each other, and it was fun times.
Yeah, it's cool. Speaking of big minions, you just linked me this druid that you're playing. Oh my god. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Big Booty Drops is the name of it. So this is the This is the deck you've been playing. So it's basically a ramp druid, right? With Alarmo bot. Yes, man.
So this is for free to play players, right? Definitely with. I mean, I just see stars on every.
So I hit Legend this month, and I'm starting to go up against actually good players, which means I lose a lot. So I just decided to go with the deck where it's like there's no skill involved. You're either gonna win or you're gonna lose, which is what the Alarma bot is for, what the Barnes for, and I mean it makes for great content. But it's actually my most consistent deck.
I can see it work. I mean, the Alarm bot, it's like even just a flyer on turn 1, right? It's like amazing.
Yeah.
Like with Innervate, it can only work with Druid.
Yeah, so it's great fun. Like you see a lot of these minions, you don't really see that much, and like Druid, the thing I hate most about Druid is turn 2 Wild Growth into turn 4 Maya Keeper. Like it's like the fiery one axe of Druid. But when you pull it off, you have just so much mana to work with, and you can just start playing big drops. And your opponent is just spending all these resources dealing the first one. They don't have anything left for the second one or the third one.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's very greedy, but it's fun, which not a lot of people
love Ramp Druid.
focus on.
I love me some Ramp Druid. Nothing like the Aviana Innervate play too. It's like you just throw down a bunch of stuff. So how often have you gotten the Barnes Yashiraj?
Surprisingly often.
What?
Originally I was running Darnassus Aspirant, which makes it's essentially lose a mana. It's like a reverse Maya Keeper when you pull it out. But I took it out. Like when you
put this in here.
like pulling Yashiraj obviously the best thing, but pulling something like Ragnaros or Aviana, it's still pretty good because you can pull Aviana and just play the big drops from your hand too, right?
Right. Actually, let me just grab it real quick. I'll put it here so everybody can see it all at once.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun, especially if you go up against control decks. Eventually, they're just gonna run out of removal. Against mid-range deck, you're pretty much gonna lose most of the time, unless you draw the nuts, or like Barnes pull something out, or you innovate out Alarm Bot. Because against Zoo can't deal with an innovate Alarm Bot. I actually won 3 games in under 5 minutes because I got really lucky and got the Alarm Bot Dream start each time, and the game's over by turn 3, right? But most of the times you're just losing.
I'm totally trying this out later tonight. This looks really, really fun. And those of you just like listening on iTunes or whatnot, it's got the interface, the Raven Idols, Loot Hoarders, Wild Growth Wrath, 2 Alarmo bots. 1 Feral Rage of Barnes, Mire Keeper swipes, Nurse, Emperor Thorzian, and then here comes the big guns. Sylvanas, Chilmaw, Ragnaros, Aviana, Sogoth, Ysera, Deathwing, both Deathwings, and then Yashiraj. So that's nice. That's definitely nice. Have you ever drafted anything like this, Merps, in Arena?
Oh, all the time. It's the only way that I can be infinite. Otherwise, like I don't win based off skill or making reads or plays. All right, I barned into Deathwing Dragon Lord into 4 dragons. Like that's the only way I can get past 7. So I'm very familiar with this kind of deck. Believe me.
He barnes is into Angry Chicken is what he means, guys. But yeah, this is definitely awesome. Okay. Oh, for one thing I forgot to mention last week is that we're starting to add a bunch of these decks that we do on Value Town on. Actually, we're adding it on Hearthstone. We might actually add it on Tempest Storm too, just so because I know some of you guys like both sites. But right now we have an account that's called Value Tech actually on both of them, and I figured it was the best way for a lot of folks have been asking about decks, and I always point them to the notes for each of the shows, and then they have to go and find the notes. So I figured the easiest way to do it is just to have an account that has a bunch of all the decks that we talk about on the show, and then you can just go and look at the most recent ones added, and those are the ones that you can see. So I figured that would be a little bit easier. It's going to be Value Tech. That's going to be the name of the account. A little bit easier for you guys. Okay, well, I'm going to have, why don't we have Merps talk a little bit about Arena, but before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to some of our folks on iTunes that have left 5-star reviews. Red Ring Hater, the Ben Trick Thor Wolf and Jay Vincent 1. Thanks for doing that. And for any of you other folks that do listen to Value Town on iTunes or Android, Google Music podcast, leaving reviews helps out the podcast a lot. So if you want to help in that way, that'd be awesome. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our patrons. We do have a patron for Value Town, patreon.com/ValueTown. The show is completely supported by you guys. And, for us to continue doing what we do on this show, it'd be awesome if you guys can support. We do want to give a shout out to a few of those folks too, the patrons that are supporting: Gary D, Devin W, David T, Jacob P, Eric C, Atomic Junkie, Ninja Fada, and Eric F. Thanks so much for helping out the show, and some of those folks for a long time too. So you guys are awesome. Okay, so arena summary, Merps. You've already talked a little bit about what you'd like to see, but let's just talk about what's actually happening in arena right now. The last thing that we heard about with arena was really just a lot of removal, like a lot of cards removed from the arena pool, and a lot of people speculated how that would help, how that would hurt. I figure let's just start off with that. Like, how has it? Like, what's the current state of arena, and how did the whole card removal help?
There's
Sure.
there's also the removal of Karazhan's
Yes.
weighted thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That too. That's true.
So,
Yeah, that's a
I
big
mean,
thing.
let's begin just by saying I think that it is a very exciting time to be playing the arena right now. Just because, the arena community has basically, we sort of got used to just being, okay, expansion comes out, there's an offering bonus, we play with the offering bonus, right? So every single arena meta is defined by the cards that came out in the last expansion. So for Karazhan example, mages are defined by Fireland's Portal and Babbling Book and Medivh's Valet. And warriors are defined by Fool's Bane. That's the card that they will pick very often. And, it's defined by all of these neutral cards as well. Like, everyone's going to have Pompous Thespian because it's a 2-drop and it's so important. Also, it's a taunt, so it provides something extra for a 2-drop. And as for warriors, something that helps them greatly in the neutral cards, like Violent Illusionist, that's huge, right? Fool's Bane with Violent Illusionist. Yes, I will take my flexible 5-mana Flame Strike, basically. It's exciting just because we didn't think there would be any changes from the typical sort of setup where expansion comes out, the meta changes, you play until the next expansion, and that's it. You're basically done, and you continue that into infinity. They basically removed the cards. They removed a lot of bad cards from what they saw as subpar classes. They kept Paladin the same, and they removed good cards from Mage and Rogue. And then after that, they basically removed the bonus from Karazhan as well. So in the past month or two, we've had so many different arena metas because when Karazhan was rolling out, they didn't have the bonus at that time. And, from week to week, you had a different meta.
You mind explaining the bonus for some of the folks that, some of the constructed folks that don't know what the bonus is?
Yes, of course. So when an expansion comes out, the latest expansion's cards, neutral cards, and also class cards have an increased chance of being offered to you. It's Blizzard's way of wanting you to, play with the cards that have recently been offered and to sort of define the arena meta in a certain way. So in Karazhan, every single priest would have tons and tons of Priests of the Feast. Mages would be offered Fireland's Portals a lot. These classes were basically defined by these cards, and it was even more prominent during Karazhan because it's an adventure, right? And during adventure releases, there's a lot less cards. There's, I don't know exactly how many cards there are, but it's like half the amount of cards, I think even less than half the amount of cards than there are during like an Old Gods or a GVG, like big pack release expansion. You had the meta during the 4-week release, and then you had the meta right afterwards. And then you had the meta after that where they took away the cards. And then now you have the meta where they took away the Karazhan offering bonus. So really exciting time. And in the end, we've settled upon a few things. Like Mage is still number one, I think.
Is it impressive number one, or is it just number one?
No, I think it's just number one.
Okay.
We went from mages, and these are kind of rough numbers, but they're pretty accurate. Like from mages having about 2 Firelands portals in every single deck to mages having 0.7. Now you
Okay,
have bumped,
that's big.
yeah, you have bumped up things like Flame Strike and Ethereal Conjurer, just because if you take something away, other cards fill in the gap. But they're not as oppressive anymore because Babbling Book is just an insane card. Medivh's Valet, if you give an offering bonus to Medivh's Valet, you feel more comfortable taking secrets, because typically mage secrets in the arena are not good. Like Mirror Entity is
Not
probably
good in anything.
yeah. Mirror Entity is probably your best bet in the arena, and even then it's not good. Easy to play around, it's clunky, 3 mana, but if you have an increased offering bonus to Medivh's Valet, you're like, okay, well, I'm probably gonna get like at least 2 Medivh's Valet in the deck. I need 2 drops anyways, so if I see like a counter spell, or if I see even a Vaporize, I'm taking that thing because of the synergy with probably 2 to 3 cards in my deck. Yeah, so it really shaped mages and really made them extremely powerful. And now that you have taken the offering bonus away, like, yes, they're still number one. I don't think it's as oppressive anymore. But I think the biggest change, we talked about all of these changes. The biggest change has been them removing numerous cards from all of these classes. And the ones that they've affected the most have been sort of, the lower tier classes, such as like Hunter. It's helped out Priest a little bit as well. They've removed a lot of these situational cards from like Warriors and Shamans and whatnot. And it's improved a little bit. Like, these classes have all risen up a little bit. Now, are they going to compete with Mage? No. Like, the gap, even though they've closed that gap a little bit, the gap is still very significant. But decks just feel better nowadays. Like, when you lose as a Hunter, you're not stuck with 5 situational cards in your hand and you're just like, well, okay, like, this just feels terrible, right? And it's something that Blizzard really cares about. It's like when you're offered these situational crummy cards in the draft and you have to pick them, and then you basically top deck those crummy cards, and then you like, they just cause you to lose. Like, that just feels really bad. You're just like, man, this class stinks. But now, even if you lose as a Hunter, you have an increased chance of at the end of the day saying like, all right, well, I played my Unleash, I played my Glaive Zukla, I played my Houndmaster, and even then I lost. Like, yeah, that's kind of BS, but at the same time, I played good cards, right? Like, it makes you feel better inside.
Sure.
So I think Arena is better in that regard. And the classes have gotten more competitive, and it's just become more fun. So that's sort of my not very short analysis, because I don't know how to shorten things, but that's my analysis.
So is it in the best state ever, or just best state in recent times?
It's the best state that I think they could sort of cobble together in such short period of time, because changes to I think we are at a tipping point almost. Like, I was talking about it a few months ago as well. I'm like, they're coming to a tipping point where they had to do something, because if you just kept the same format,
it just keeps getting worse.
It keeps getting worse and worse, because what ends up happening is, if you keep on offering the bonus, the expansion will purely define how these classes do, right? Because of the offering bonus. And the rest of the cards, the field, gets thinner. Like, each card gets more and more diluted, because you're not taking any cards out, right? So what ends up happening is like, and I think every arena streamer said this, like, let's fast forward a year, let's fast forward 5 years. You don't play around anything at that point, because consecration is like a 1 in 2,000 chance for them to have, like, something ridiculous. It's like, I don't play around consecration. I also don't play around like holy flaming pony of justice, because that's like a 1 in 2,000 as well. I certainly don't play around like Deathwing, the Rainbow Lord or something, because no one drafts that anymore. Like, it just becomes utterly ridiculous. So they have to do something. And I think these changes are the best that they could do for now, but they still have to do
eventually we're going to get to just like standard, where they have to retire cards. I mean, just like large sets of cards because of your point. I mean, it'll just get to the just there'll be so many cards that I mean, maybe it'll make it special when you do get some of those cards that we do see semi-common right now, but overall, you know, I think it's not healthy for like you were alluding to there, and having I don't know set like would you like to see arena like more like wild or more like standard?
I think they have to put it into standard somewhat because the way I look at it is Blizzard tends to be trending towards a more competitive nature, not like overall, right? Like with Heroic Brawl, with just like earlier this year, sort of starting standard, and it seems like with them releasing the infograph, and I actually asked Ixar afterwards, sort of will we see a leaderboard for Arena, and he actually replied with a very detailed sort of suggestion, stating, here are 2 specific formulas we could use for this. So it's obvious that the dev team has given it a lot of thought, right? You don't just put out 2 like complex formulas unless you've thought about it. So it's something that they've thought about. And because of that, like I think we're shifting in the right direction, and I think that they will sort of move it towards the standard format that we see now in Constructed, because there is no good that can come of just letting this, I guess pun intended, run wild, right?
Yeah. So, Toast, what do you think of all this? I mean, you play much Arena these days, or any?
I played Arena for the first time in over a year. I used
You're
to
almost
be
like me, man.
I used to
play
be
a little more mad, but
I used to be okay at Arena. Like I'm able to, average 7 wins. Not average. Okay, average 6 wins.
7 wins. You're freaking amazing, dude.
And I've hit 12 wins a couple of times. But like going back to Arena, it's so weird. Because of the wild cards. Like I got light bombed the other day. I'm like, oh right, light bomb's a card, and like a lot of times it's just this reaction over and over again, right? Whirling Zappomatic's a card, like that's a card.
Dr. Bloom,
just a card. Yeah, Dr. Bloom's a card. All right. Starting to sound like a Moz. But yeah, that was the reaction I got, and like Merps talked about, like you don't play around stuff. And I think that was the hardest thing to adjust, because when I was going up against the Shaman, like, all right, got Lightning Storm, Lightning Storm, Lightning Storm, Lightning Storm. Don't play around, like don't play into Lightning Storm. But my opponent, he just didn't have Lightning Storm. But when you're coming off like ladder for a month and every opponent Shaman has Lightning Storm, I think it was a hard adjustment for me. A lot of times I just played around stuff that maybe I shouldn't have, and I need some Arena lessons probably. But yeah, it's fun to revisit all these old cards that you haven't seen since the Wild thing happened.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You definitely play around different stuff. Like whenever I watch people play Constructed, right? It's always like it's just a totally different game, because when you queue up, the matchup, and sometimes you just have this one card that you need to win, right? So you keep this like 6 mana card that like it sort of boggles my mind, and how the matchup goes. So you do all these like crazy anti-tempo stuff, or you do like something big comes out, but you're like no. Like I know he has like 4 threats in his deck, so I need to save this removal because even though this thing is pressuring me right now, I need to save it. And in Arena, you don't play around like you don't have this information. It's you just try to make all these reads, and you play around stuff like turn 7 Bog Creeper, right? Turn 9 North Sea Kraken. These things that you never see in Constructed. And yeah, like I never play around Lightning Storm just because it's rare. Even though people draft it, it's like it's rare. Like so little chance that they have it. So yeah, it really does feel like a different game mode. And when I watch Construct, I'm like, what the heck is this? Just like it's crazy. And then of course, the Resident Sleeper, like armor pass, armor pass, armor pass, armor pass, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally. They are completely different.
Yeah.
That's why, like, people that are good at at standard aren't necessarily good at arena, and I think people generally good in arena are good at standard. It just takes a few not few, but it probably takes like 50 games with the deck or something like that, and then you'll probably be pretty close to somebody who's good with that. But okay, well, why don't we move on to Q&A here, guys, and get some of your questions out there. If you guys want to get your questions in, you can tweet them to me at ChanManV. Those obviously take precedent. We actually answered a few of these that were tweeted earlier, like the like that question that you added about the whole champion thing and whatnot, like putting pressure on them. But if you don't want to tweet,